There are growing concerns on Capitol Hill over the rise of political violence and rhetoric targeting lawmakers and their staff. The Biden administration is blasting former President Trump after he shared a video on his Truth Social account, which references a, quote, unified Reich if he won a second term in office. A spokesperson for the White House slammed the post, saying, quote, it is abhorrent, sickening, and disgraceful for anyone to promote content associated with Germany's Nazi government under Adolf Hitler. The spokesperson for Trump's 2024 campaign said, quote, this was not a campaign video. It was created by a random account online and reposted by a junior staffer who clearly did not see the word while the president was in court. CBS News congressional correspondent Scott MacFarlane is with us from Capitol Hill. Scott, how are lawmakers on Capitol Hill handling this uptick in political violence and dangerous rhetoric that we've seen unfold, especially over the last week?
Well, let's start with that unified Reich social media posting. One Republican ally of the former president said this mistake that was made is an unacceptable mistake, and that even a staffer aligned with the former president shouldn't be so careless or shouldn't be doing it. Democrats are going to lean in and say this is just the latest in a series of politically toxic or violent pieces of rhetoric coming from some form of the former president's communication strategy, be it from his standing before the microphones, being at a rally, or using his social media account. Let's put that one aside, because there's a more pernicious and more widespread type of political violence with which members of Congress and their staffers are dealing. A CBS News report shows an independent survey of top officials and top aides on Capitol Hill found nearly 3 in 4 is concerned about the safety of their bosses, the members of Congress, or the safety of their staffers. What's more, they're also showing an increasing concern about emails, phone calls, and social media posts that threaten the lives of junior staffers, interns, the people who pick up the phone. Lilia, this is such a broad concern. The U.S. Capitol Police Chief will testify tomorrow at a Senate panel. We expect him to lean into his argument why they need money to not just better protect the Capitol, but better protect members of Congress and their staffers when they're back home in their hometown offices or at town hall meetings.
And shifting gears just a little bit, Scott, we had covered the story of this one American who was facing a very long time in prison in Turks and Caicos. Now a group of lawmakers traveled to Turks and Caicos this weekend to push not just for his release, but several Americans. I believe it's something like 8 people who've been detained there on ammunition charges. Did they make any progress?
And we just spoke with one of them, Senator John Fetterman of Pennsylvania, who has a constituent among the people you just referenced. He says there is optimism that the leadership of Turks and Caicos expressed there is some flexibility with how they administer whatever punishment or detention is necessary for this violation of Turks and Caicos law, having ammunition in a checked airplane bag. But he also didn't give a time frame as to when that flexibility will be implemented by the leaders of Turks and Caicos. But he said the delegation that was there, that was meeting with the leadership, left with enough optimism they don't believe any formal U.S. government efforts, action, or further diplomacy might be needed. It may be a matter of when, not if, they relax or release some of these detentions.
Scott, thank you so much.